indigenous resistance against Britain was not limited to force or armed opposition. Nigerians also adopted for other methods such as supernatural and spiritual protection, misinformation and manipulation, and civil disobedience. Southeastern Nigeria deployed all three methods. Resistance against British colonial rule in southeastern Nigeria was so widespread that an entire book could be devoted to it. Following the Aro War of 1902 and British alarm about the large number of guns that natives possessed, Britain forbade the importation of guns, weapons, and materials that could be used to make weapons. Whenever Britain subdued a community, they also adopted the routine practice of disarming it and destroying all of its weapons. It may have appeared to the British that such communities had been pacified or were loyal. However, the natives often resorted to insidious resistance such as spiritual and supernatural warfare. In a perverse way, resorting to such practices increased the risk of the British using force against them. For instance, when communities invoke supernatural intervention by sacrificing animals or humans, practices the British abhorred, this would be used by the British as justification for the use of force. Yet, supernatural invocation continued. In southeastern Nigeria, the Igbos consulted Dibia for help against the British. The belief in the effectiveness of such supernatural practice was not limited to the natives. The British district officer Frank Hives once had a terrifying time at the government rest house in the Bende district, which was built on a site cursed by a Dibia. Hives was so distraught by his night in the house that he burned it down and built a new one in a different location. Afterwards, he wrote an account of it, which he prefaced by saying, "I can only say that I am relating exactly what I saw. I attempt no explanation, for to me the thing is unexplainable." Hives' account of his experience at what he called the haunted rest house is worth recounting in his own words. "I could not get away from the feeling that something was watching me. As I looked, the chair was drawn back to the wall so that the leg rest fell with a clatter to the hard mud floor. What could have caused the chair to move? Nothing was visible. Then the table was suddenly moved to one side as though some invisible hand had dragged it, and the chair toppled right over. At the same time, the eerie feeling returned, together with what I might describe as a sense of some impending horror that sent cold shivers down my spine. My scalp felt as though it was being loosened, and my teeth chattered with cold. I sat there petrified, utterly unable to move hand or foot, in expectant terror. I saw something move just outside the opening in the veranda wall where the stench was coming from. The first thing I saw was what I took to be the head of a very old native. Then the rest of the body appeared, crawling very slowly on hands and knees and not making a sound. Presently, the creature came within the radius of the lamplight so that I could see it more clearly. A more horrible sight I have ever seen. A more loathsome thing I hope never to see. Then I fired 2 shots in rapid succession at point-blank range, expecting to see the body fall, but nothing happened. The creature continued to climb, eventually reaching the rafters, trailing the rope behind, but making absolutely no sound. I then stood up, reached out until the muzzle of the revolver was only 3 or 4 feet from the mark, and fired again. Still nothing happened, and the figure continued to climb. I knew then that it could not be human. Later, when Hives traveled to the Efik-speaking area in modern Cross River State, he met an aggrieved woman who blamed him for her son's imprisonment. The woman cursed Hives, and he admitted that she hypnotized him and placed a snake curse on him. In the next 3 days, he unaccountably encountered 15 different snakes, including a 5-foot-long snake in his bed and others that appeared in his boots and stationery rack and wherever he went. Hives admitted that after the woman's curse, snakes seemed to follow me round. In another example, when the military barracks at Abakiliki was destroyed by fire, the local people attributed the misfortune to supernatural causes. After spending 2 decades among the Efik people of southeastern Nigeria, the Scottish missionary Mary Slessor began to believe in the efficacy of some native medicine. A British historian was equally convinced of its effectiveness. I think that it is possible that Igbo lands Dibia were developing a real skill or sciences in the sphere of what we would now call extrasensory perception. The imposition of colonial rule has basically put to an end to these skills and deflected Igbo intellectual energies into such modern sphere as medicine or physics. It is possible that in doing so we cut off a real and original advance of the human mind and impoverished the total development of human knowledge.